I always say that people should train martial arts. It's not only is it good for your mental health, but especially if you are someone who organized, if you're a revolutionary, if you're someone who want to protect yourself, learn new skills. Like it's such a very important skill, and it's so good. Like as a general lifestyle. Because this shows how the capitalists are the true authoritarians. And this is how I try to explain this to the libertarians, because like the term that people use now is technocratic fascism. I used that earlier, right? And I'm 100% okay with using that, because you guys know I'm down with whatever strategy, whatever vocabulary it takes to win over the working class, right? But honestly, I'm not even a big fan of the term, to be honest, because technocratic fascism is the inevitable result of capitalism. What happens when you have a capitalist who wants to squeeze as much, whenever you have the goal of never-ending profits, and then you get these pesky regulations, and also you got to test more, you got to pay your employees. So the best thing that you can do once you maximize the profit that you can take for the consumers is to infiltrate government. So the next thing you do after you maximize your profit share, you infiltrate government and you merge yourself with the government to maximize and to have complete control. This is the end game of every single capitalist. They will never tell you, but this is the end game for every single one of them. That's why communists and libertarians tend to have a agreement on this. That's why I'm not selling anything here. I'm explaining this to explain why libertarians and communists tend to agree on these issues. We diagnose the problem differently, but we understand that we have a ruling class that's trying to centralize power in order to maintain the control. Our solution to that is kind of different, but we acknowledge the same, that we have a giant problem. Last thing I'll share, and I'll get you in here for your tape, because you got to see how this is related. This is something that we've been warning about for a very long time. Why do we have student loan debt? Why is it very important for the capitalist class to put a giant portion of the working class in debt? That's counterfactual to what you would want for an economy, because you will want your working class, especially the ones who got degrees, the people who are about to make money, isn't it best for them not to be in debt? If they wasn't in debt, then they'll be able to buy housing. They'll be able to start family, and they'll be able to contribute to the economy. So having a debt economy does not make sense. But if you have a central planning model that cares about the people, if you have a central planning model that cares about never-ending profits, it is very contingent for you to keep the working class into debt so you can bribe them into becoming your foot soldiers. So I'm sorry for the long rant, but let me introduce to this headline. An unintended consequence of student debt relief. Will young Americans volunteer for the armed forces in adequate number? This is a famous old article that explains the entire grift of the capitalist class, putting people in debt and creating a failure economy on purpose. So you will become an ICE agent. So you'll be a police officer. So you will go in Iraq and burn a village. So you'll sign up to join Gaza, the genocide in Gaza. So a lot said there, but I want to get your reaction to this. But you guys see how MAGA, Trump, and the ruling class, they have a very particular plan to put workers in debt so they become ICE agents. So you're forced to sign up to fight and die for Israel and the IDF. The Taos professor, any final thoughts on the story? Anything you want to react to?
I mean, one of the things that I looked at between my first piece that I did this year and this most recent piece was I took a look at the actual federal Department of Education budget just to see how it was chopped up in terms of what money goes where. And I come to find out that I think it's 3/4. It's definitely 2/3. I think it's 3/4. It might be right around 3/4 of I think it's close to like $230 billion spent on federal education through the department. Close to 3/4 of it is for the student loan program. Now, I don't know if how much of those are grants or how much of those are subsidized loans. But, that just tells you that. And then I don't know how much your audience realizes this, but you can't, those are loans you can't bankrupt out of. And so what do? They go, oh, you can go to college. When I was growing up, it was like, we can't afford college, right? And then, it was like, my mom passed away, and it was enough to get me through. But it was like a thing where it was like, you either had a scholarship or you had some money saved. You didn't just, at some point when around the time that I was in college, it was like, don't worry about that. Just take out a loan. You'll be able to pay it back because you're going to make more money after you get out. But in the meantime, actually, no, because there's not going to be any jobs when you get out. So it's like, definitely the people that have, I have people in my family that have lots of loan debt. You're sort of going to be, you're going to have to hit the ground running when they come in hard with social credit metrics. I don't know what they'll do as far as, my guess is that most of what's going to happen is you'll be lucky if they have a workforce training program for you. But it seems like, aside from, as to sort of, build a precariat that's easy to push into a war machine, it's also going to get people locked into the back end of a social credit treadmill where you're constantly chasing to try to get to some kind of equilibrium.
Yeah, they committed a massive fraud on the entirety of the working class in order to enslave them and indebt them. And I don't know how anyone can justify it, because not even, why are you justifying it? If you borrow money, you got to pay it back. How does that even benefit our society? You're taking money out of the economy for what? So debtors, so people who engage in usury can make a profit. So now there are many young people like, why should I even go to college? Why should I even invest in my education? So what's the result of this? We're going to continue to fall behind in STEM degrees. And that's why China is whooping our ass when it comes to education and when it comes to producing top talent in fields that actually matter. So the question I have for MAGA and for these people, do you want to compete with China or not? Because if you want to create a society where people go in debt because they pursue education, how is that going to compete with China? You guys know that's not even my fucking goal. I want cooperation between the states. But even if you're a capitalist, what they're doing doesn't make sense. Thinking like a capitalist, what they're doing doesn't make sense. But at the end of the day, I guess I'm being naive because we know it's not about maintaining any society. It's about their profits. So this will be the last thing I'll ask you. So I appreciate you coming on in your time. This is another example why Palantir invested so much into JD Vance. And why Palantir's handpicked boy became one of the young. I think he is either the youngest or one of the youngest vice presidents of all time. This is what they get for that investment. It was a great investment. Why Palantir Technology stock surged 16% to a new all-time high. What a coincidence! So I want to get your reaction to this, and I get to ask you a question. How should people respond? And what advice will you give to people once they learn about this rise of techno-fascism? Like, who can they support? What do you suggest people do in the face of this rise of techno-fascism? And what's your reaction to this Palantir stock rise under Donald Trump? It's been great for them, the Trump administration. But anything else you want to add?
It's funny. I think we were going to touch on some martial arts at some point. This might be enough.
Oh yeah, you did train. That's interesting.
Yeah. I always thought a socialist MMA thing. I was like, is that like legit MMA or is that like a metaphor for his politics? Like, are you not in Chicago? Are you?
No, I'm in Kansas City. I was in Chicago.
Oh, dang! I was gonna say,
but you're a Muay Thai guy, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm got certified. Not a full crew or whatever, but yeah, I'm certified in TBA. I got a black belt in Taekwondo. I know that gets a bad rap, that Wing Chun dummy, but there's some stuff that you can apply there. Believe it or not. Man, there was a segue. I was gonna say, if you're in Chicago, we should train or something. But a friend of mine, this was the segue.
Definitely will. Definitely.
Yeah. I ran into the guy I used to train with, lockdowns obviously mess everybody's training up, and then hadn't done much in a while, and I ran into a buddy, and I was like, oh, hey, man, we should get together. And so, I say, hey, what you been doing? He's like, he's like, during lockdowns, I started trading on the stock market. He's like, oh, man, he's like, make some money. He's like, I'm investing in this one company. It's called Palantir. It's like, I was like, yeah, dude, I know all, because he didn't know about the book or any of that stuff. We kind of lost touch during lockdowns, and I'm not gonna be hard on him quite yet. I'll send him the article eventually, but yeah, of course it's kabooming like that. I mean, it's basically got all these government contracts. I don't know how many of them I noted in that article. But I know the Department of Defense, there's an API that they were going to use in partnership with Doge. They had something to do with something called Operation Tiberius Kirk and Health and Human Services during basically tracking and tracing all of the experimental treatments that went out on the 2020 and 2021. And there's tons of others. I mean, they probably have a contract with almost every federal bureaucracy. So they just went public a couple years ago. And so, that's just in time for, just a coincidence, right? They went public right before they got all their government contracts. I mean, but I wrote about Palantir in that book. Remember, that's 2019. So, and I've often looked at it, back then, like, is this going to be the monster that becomes the engine for, when I always reference, the Chinese social credit system, because that's basically the image that we have of something that has what I think our system is going to look like very, very soon. And, as I mentioned over there, a lot of those companies are WEF partners, like Alibaba was the main one. I believe Alibaba's a WEF partner. But yeah, I've often thought that Palantir was going to basically play this sort of surveillance state apparatus at a certain point in time. If you go back, it's interesting. If you just look at the history of sort of AI, right? Like the theory of AI was sort of developed around like the 40s and 50s, like sort of ironed out, right? And then we had what were called these Macy Cybernetics conferences. In 1946 was the first one. They ended in 50 something. Do you know when the first venture capital firm was created? This is a cursory search, 1946. So, and if there's a more obscure one that was sometime before that, we're still in the ballpark. Okay. Some of the first venture capital firms to come to, so what they did at Macy Cybernetics was they laid out sort of the theory of like the feedback loop, which is the mechanism for AI and the data mining and the machine learning, the thing that makes it be able to pull out patterns of data that gets input. And so shortly thereafter, we have the rise of venture capital. And you have the rise of venture capital like NQTel, which is literally CIA, right? Then you have others like Sequoia Capital, which are like, right, totally embedded with CIA. So in other words, right, shortly after you have, right, these Macy Cybernetics conferences, you literally have intelligence run venture capital firms that went out and threw money at these tech companies to make sure that if anybody was designing or developing anything that was going to fit into their cybernetic police state, that they could pull it in and make sure it didn't go rogue and maybe, I don't know, have some kind of free open source software for the working class people to use, right? And, as Whitney Webb has done a good job showing, companies like Facebook and Palantir are basically just total information awareness and LifeLog, which were government projects that came out post 9/11 police state. But in the meantime, the years leading up to that, what was happening was people like PayPal Mafia was going around and throwing venture capital at every startup they could find to make sure that all the technology basically that developed went into their pockets and into their control group.
Yeah, very well said. And there's much to say, and I don't have time for another 2-hour stream, but I want to give your thoughts on this because I know you in the martial art community. Are they finally starting to wake up about this kind of stuff? Because I know a lot of people in the MMA community, they went very hard supporting for the big tech. I know like you had Trump that would pull up a lot of UFC events, man. I'm like, man, I miss the Pride days where there was no politicians that would pull up. And there are no politicians that will market themselves on the sport. Dude, there were so many MMA fighters that went all in on Palantir and the big tech. I'm like, ew, like they you can tell a lot of them was paid. I hope they're starting to wake up to this stuff, man. I hope that there will be a culture shift. Go ahead. Yeah. As I always say, and I want to get your thoughts on this. I always say that people should train martial arts. It's not only is it good for your mental health, but especially if you are someone who organized, if you're a revolutionary, if you're someone who want to protect yourself, learn new skills, like it's such a very important skill, and it's so good, like as a general lifestyle. That's why I can't wait to go to Chicago, because it's been a while since I sparred, but I'm always training. Like I'm still working on my jiu-jitsu black belt. I want to get my BJJ black belt before I turn 40, but I need to get back in the gi. So I highly recommend all you guys, if you have a martial arts school in your area, don't like I don't understand how people just walk around like just defenseless. Learn BJJ, Muay Thai. Muay Thai, like you said, that's probably one of the best ones. I grew up in a boxing family. My dad was like a 3-time regional Golden Glove champion. I had my brother, he used to fight on Showtime. So I always knew how to box. And from a young age, we used to throw hands for fun. Like these kids nowadays, they don't go outside for anything. We used to go outside. We used to beat the shit out of each other. I'm a country boy. That's what we do growing up. And that we learn how to fight. We learn how to box doing that. And I still remember specifically, and I want you to speak more on how you kind of got Muay Thai. I was someone, not to brag, because we did a lot of fighting growing up, but I'm not used to taking L's, guys. Like I'm that much, especially growing up as someone. I used to be at the gym. Like there was a community center. My dad was the training partner of Larry Holmes. He trained with Leon Spinks when he was the heavyweight champion. Like my dad is a legitimate boxing trainer. So we used to go to the community school, and he used to train me in front of everybody. Like we used to do these boxing drills, like sparring for everybody. So everyone knew not to really fuck with me. So I never really took L's like that. Everyone knew I know how to fight. So then I did Muay Thai class. And someone said I'm bragging. No, I'm not bragging. Wait till you hear the story. I did the first Muay Thai class. I'm not bragging. I want to motivate you guys to get into this. As someone who knows how to throw a hand, I sparred with this Muay Thai guy. I'll never forget his name, Paul. He had multiple Muay Thai world championships. He had all these medals and world titles. He was a retired old Vietnamese dude. He's like 5'6", 170. And guys, I'm like 10 years younger than I am now. So I'm like 23 years old. I'm in my prime. I'm fucking jacked, fucking great shape. I sparred with this guy, and he whoops my ass like the way I've never seen before. Like the leg kicks, the knees. Like I'm used to jabbing. I'm used to stay on the outside, more of an alley style fighter. I trained with this Muay Thai dude. He started throwing these leg kicks. What the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Bro, I got my ass beat like I never got my ass beat before sparring with this dude. Ever since then, bro, I've been obsessed with Muay Thai. So you say you train Muay Thai. Is that kind of how you get into it, bro?
My base art was actually Taekwondo. And as you know, like back in the day, I was now, I'm 40, I'll be 42 next year. So, sounds like I'm a little bit older than you. But when I came up doing MMA, it was like this was the days like when Matt Hughes was the welterweight.
Yeah, Matt Hughes was a dude, man.
This was basically still when it was like, wrestler versus striker was very much that type of thing, there was guys that did the sprawl and brawl or whatever, it was like in that era. But the Taekwondo guys, like we didn't have hands, right? And we didn't have grappling. You had a couple side kick or spin kick, and I wasn't really good at a lot of that at the time. And all you gotta do, so all you basically gotta do is, like when you set up, you come out, boom, you just crowd the guy, and now his kicks are gone. What's he gonna do? So, the first time I sparred Muay Thai, especially never did the leg kicks. Oh yeah, the leg kick, it'll light you up. You'll feel that. And ever since then,
people don't know how painful it is. It's one of the most painful things.
Tappy.
There it is.
This knee is up no matter what. You know what I'm saying? This knee is. I got really, really good at checking. Like I spent a lot of time. I'll show you. This is a solid.
He got the pad in the room. That's so bad.
That's solid.
That base is fun.
Never seen that's about 40% shin on that solid wood. I made it a point. I was like, dude, I never want to feel that again. Like, you know what I mean? And I want to make sure. So I got really good at that. And then, what was funny was later on, as I got good at, keeping my guard and checking kicks and boxing, that's when I started to work in the side kicks and the spin kicks. And this is back, this would be nowadays, you see it all the time. But if you remember, during that era, you almost never saw a side kick or a back kick or a spin kick. Yeah. Every once in a while, GSP throw one in there, and I was scoring those all day. And I was like, oh, dude, like, and I remember thinking like, yeah, I was like, I wanted to go pro at the time. I back then too, you might know that, it's still kind of that way. Like, so I used to train at Gilbert's Grappling. And that was, Joy Gilbert was a UFC fighter. He fought BJ Penn. Clay Guida came out of that place. Very cool guy, very nice guy. I was like, I was in and out. I go to different gyms. They didn't like that. That was like cheating. You're cheating. Well, if you wanted to get, at Gilbert's, when I first started going there, they only did hands and wrestling. I mean, they were some of the best wrestlers out there. Super tough Midwest wrestler dudes. Lesser known guy, Clay French. He fought Roy McDonald at one point. Used to train with the Militich guys and all that. That was like their style. It was like, if you wanted to learn kicking, though, like Ty, I had to go to another place. And that was why I never ended up going pro. It's a long story, but but as far as the benefits of it, today,
I wish I would have. If I would have went back, I was the reason I didn't go pro because I had 3 amateur fights. I think I'll tell you guys, I won my first 2 fights, and then I lost my third fight 2-1. I didn't get knocked out. I didn't know one knocked me out. I lost a 2-1 decision. I still love that fight to this day because I showed a lot of heart. This motherfucker hit me with a body kick in round 2, and I was never the same because I wasn't training like that. Because that's when I was studying, I was working, I was busy dating, I'm a young kid. So then I'm like, bro, I don't got time to train like this. And I decided, like, bro, I need to make some money because there was no money fighting in the Midwest like that. So I was like, man, I just need to get some money. I was like, fuck this. I was just training. I'm going to be a martial artist as a hobby. But if I was to go back, like if I was to do it again, I definitely would have just locked in because I was sparring with pros, dude. Like I was sparring with Bellator fighters. We had a UFC fighter. I had Jason Hyde. We had all these people that used to come out. I was sparring. They like, hey Nick, man, you can go pro. Like, nah, man, I'm trying to hustle. I'm trying to get some money, bro. Like, I was young, dumb back then. Like, if I had to do it all over again, I would have. I definitely would have. It's fun. I love sparring.
What weight class?
This is back when I was small. This is the. I think this was. Look at it was like 2012.
Hey, you? That's you?
Yeah, that's me in the red.
Oh, okay.
That's 10 years ago.
You got a little beard, I don't think, or something.
Yeah, I was a little baby.
What weight class is that? I was curious.
That's 155.
Oh, okay. So we're about the same size. Yeah.
I'm much smaller then. I'm an old fat man now. But that's when I'm 155. Really, this is why I was in. This is I still might go try and win the Golden Gloves one day. I still could because I had hands. You gotta say I'll throw a jab out.
The boxing is way. That's out of all the sports that I like. That's the one I would do the worst in. Not because that in a lot of boxing, when you're a lot of that bobbing and weaving that's done in pure boxing, we don't do that in Thai. Like if you're in that range, like you're in that inside range, you're either going to clinch or you're going to throw. So it's like I've never the few times I boxers,
I can't believe I found it.
Hands. Oh yeah, it's a long day, dude. They're like getting behind and hitting the the body hooks and and they're inside and around your corner. I've never trained that a whole lot. So but yeah, no, it's boxing is rough. Boxing is rough.
So this is 10 years ago, guys. Like you guys don't get a chance to talk about martial arts a lot on this show. That's why it's great to have you on. But this is 10 years ago. This is my last fight. I lost this fight. This is my last fight I had. I went to as an amateur. So you guys see, like, I was such a fucking small baby back then. But yeah, I want to get I want at least one more amateur boxing fight. Because one thing that pisses me off to this day is I had a martial arts channel. When I first started, I had all these footage of me sparring. I had footage of me sparring with my students I teach. I had footage of me sparring pro fighters. The thing is, YouTube deletes channels if they go inactive for a very long time. So, guys, I had all this footage that was fucking gold, bro. And I lost it. and it fucking drives me crazy. So I'm like, all right, dude, one day I'm going to remake that channel. I gotta get some new sparring footage. It's definitely great, and that's why I said when I go to Chicago, maybe we can do that because I'm always in the lab cooking, and I miss sparring. I love training, and I recommend highly. That's why I'm more. I know we pretty much done with the politics now. Like we pretty much just nerd. And I highly recommend. Like you don't have to fucking be a pro fighter. I didn't end up being a pro fighter, but you guys, it still benefits your life greatly because I don't have to fucking worry about shit. You know what I mean? Like. With some nerd who never trained is gonna fucking threaten me? Like the gap between someone who trains and don't train is as wide and vast as the ocean. You know what I mean? Like you would need at least a fucking blue belt in jiu-jitsu to stand a chance against me because I used to roll with black belts and brown belts all the time. And if you don't know how to do jiu-jitsu, if you don't know how to train grappling, the second, and I know you probably went through this as well. The second you go on the ground with us, the second you get the ground with anyone who like blue belt level or higher, you're done, bro. You're I see so many of these street fight videos where people are clinching. They don't know what the fucking doing. Like, bro, you guys are like a fish out of water, bro. Anyway, let me tell you, I was going through that was just some nostalgia. This is back when I was my 155 days. I was much younger back in the day.
How tall are you? I'm curious. Like how tall?
5'8", not a tall guy.
Okay, we're about the same size then. I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, look, even today, I mean, aside from the obviously, right, you could defend yourself, and like you said, you can like. I'm not gonna say like I walk around and be like, I can take anybody, but I know that whatever happens, I'll have an answer. Right, I won't be helpless. Like even if that just means cover, grab a leg, dump him, and run. Like whatever it is. Like it's not like it's the feeling of I don't know, and that makes you feel helpless, that makes you feel overwhelmed, that makes you feel scared. Like if you're just a person that has like a lot of anxiety in general, or a lot of like just fear of what might happen in any given situation, like it helps alleviate just your sort of existential anxiety, just having that kind of knowing that like if something really bad happens, it might be bad, but like just knowing that you have options, it turns the volume down. And look, for politics and activism, especially like debating rhetoric, like if you have to help you keep your emotions under control, right? Like if you can keep them in control when someone's trying to knock you unconscious, right? I mean, all this guy's doing is yelling at me, big deal, right? Like, so like it translates in so many other ways. And I honestly, when they locked us down, I was like, I didn't know if we were ever going to get out. So, I was just writing and trying to get my book and get my information out as much as possible. And so I pretty much, and part of it was I couldn't go to, like I said, couldn't go to the gym. And I was on a cane. I ended up on a cane at one point when I visited my friend because it was an old injury, sciatic nerve problem. And I fixed it. I got back, my wife helped me. I fixed it. And then I was like, I'm never letting that happen. So I started running again. But part of it, what I realized it was also helpful is I got really burnt out around 2022. I was just like, and I'm just like watching this dystopia unfold. I'm like, it's like Sisyphus trying to push this rock up this hill, and like going back and just doing a lot of like Tabatas on the bag, doing my win, like I'm training like the only thing I'm missing right now to be fight ready would be if I need to get my timing and my eyes back for sparring hard. I need to roll and get some of my timing back there, and just maybe like conditioning, like mitt work. But as far as like plyometrics, strength and conditioning, running, just like all of that, in some ways it's better than it was back then. But a lot of the benefit why I've maintained it more than just so I'm not crippled anymore. I have no health care. Is that like spiritually, mentally, like it, like when I'm out there running and I feel like, like was it yesterday? No, yeah, yesterday it was hot, dude. It was it was the closest I come to like quitting and like not like doing that last lap when I come past the house. And I'm like, do not do it. Like, and when I'm in that space, I think about, this political contest. I have to stay away from the combative rhetoric here for YouTube, etc. But like I channel, like I think about, like I'm channeling that energy so that way I can push through this run so that I can finish this next article, so that I can meet these technocrats on the next in the next contest, so to speak. So like all of that, I think it's important. I mean, it translates to like Nick said, like if you're not gonna fight, you're not gonna spar, etc. That's fine. Like, but even if your work is in a laboratory or it's paperwork or whatever, like it will translate into your ability to push yourself to do whatever it is you need to do. So
yeah, absolutely. And as an adult, I never got into street fights. Like for some reason, people know, man. Like because once you confident in the way you defend yourself, you can just compose yourself. I've been in so many situations and people just know for some reason, like they just know. I'm not flinching. Like I'm like, bro, I promise you. Like, and they just know, and like just not having that anxiety can de-escalate a lot of situations. I found that why do you guys think I show you guys these videos of Nazis fucking with people, and I'm like, motherfucker, I wish that fucking would happen at one of my mutual aid events one day, because I'm trying to go viral, guys. I'm trying to go viral. I want to go viral where I'm at a pro-Palestinian protest and mad some dipshit Zionists like fucking start harassing my people. And they attack me. Can you guys imagine? But that doesn't happen. But what I get upset at seeing, and this is why, especially I'm talking to my people now, if you're on the left, if you're a revolutionary, it's upon us to learn martial arts and defend ourselves. And people like me, and this is why I engage in martial arts as a form of mutual aid, is, hey, man, we got to learn how to protect our people. Like, I see these footage, and I see video footage of people at protests getting attacked. I see our people getting attacked by Zionist mobs. And I'm like, dude, we got to know how to fucking defend our people, man. You got to know how to defend your community. And just like my chat with everyone having a role in the movement, I know everyone may not have the background of a martial artist, but that's why we're supposed to form mutual aid societies. Like, this is why we grow our own food. We create our own outside government. We have mutual aid programs. And a part of mutual aid, because as I mentioned thousands of times, mutual aid isn't just charity. It's building an organization. So a part of that mutual aid is having people who teach self-defense. Like the left haven't been doing this for decades. Like we completely took self-defense off the table. So engage in martial arts as a form of mutual aid. You guys know how many times I taught people the basics of boxing and jiu-jitsu for free? I do it all the time. Like everyone around me, all my family members, they all either know how to fight or they've been offered training. Like, you don't want to mess with my crew, I promise you. They either know how to fight or they've been offered and they decline. And that's what you do to build community. And once you've been taught by someone like me, then you teach your comrade. Then your comrade will teach someone else. And all of a sudden, we got a fucking armed, trained, disciplined left movement. You guys see how far away we are from that? Because we didn't even get started. We're far away from that. We need to get started on that kind of stuff. We need to get off of social democratic socialist nonsense and start talking about having gun clubs, building militias, and that kind of stuff. But we are over 90 minutes in. I'll spare you. I appreciate your time. I'm literally thinking about I plan on going to Chicago. I got friends in Chicago, actually. That's why I plan on going up there again. I organized with the Hampton family. I was just there. Last month at the Hampton family house. So maybe I'll go chat with you maybe in the next few weeks or so. We'll see. But any thoughts you have bouncing around your head before we wrap up? I appreciate your time. We definitely have you on again, and I definitely would love training with you.
Yeah, no, please do. I'll say my number afterwards, and yeah, if you're in the area, for sure, man. I'd love to hang out, and we could spar or whatever. But I'd love to just hang out and get together. Meet
yeah, it was a coincidence because I was just so happy to be in Chicago. I'll just so happy to be in Chicago in maybe in a few weeks with some friends. So I was like, hey man, that'd be dope.
I'll tell a funny little story. Y'all know Pasta Jardula over here, don't you?
Yeah, he's the homie. I like Pasta.
Yeah, so there's a funny story. Me and him, one of the first times I met him, I've been on the show before, but we were out in Tennessee. We go to get some wings at night, and it was my cauliflower ear that enabled us to meet Frank Stallone. Because I guess he saw my ear and he goes over and wants to have a conversation. I didn't know who he was. I didn't even know Sylvester Stallone had a brother. I thought it was just like a drunk guy wanting to talk about fighting, which is, you never know how that's going to go in the bar, right? Is he going to you want to test himself against you or whatever? So anyway, it's just a little funny story about martial arts and some of the, like you said, it can kind of open doors for you.